Alright guys, I'm going to take you through the study guide for section 6.6 to 6.8. We're going to start with the parallel perpendicular lines section. The first section says to tell whether each line is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So on number 1, what you need to do is you need to make sure each of these equations is in y equals mx plus b form. If they're not, you cannot tell what the slope is. So let's look at number 1. The y has got a 15 with it. We don't need that 15 with it, so what we're going to do is we're going to get y by itself by dividing by 15 to everything on that equation. We cancel out our 15s. We get y equals negative 25 over negative 15. Okay, if we divide each of those by 5, that reduces to negative 5/3. So we have negative 5/3 x plus 9 over 15. All right, so then we can see that our slope on this one is negative 5 over 3. Now we need to do the same thing to the other equation. This time, there's an x term in the way. So we need to get the 3x to the other side by subtracting 3x from both sides. So you get 5y equals negative 3x. I always write the x term first because in slope-intercept form, the x term comes first. And then plus 15. And then again, we have to get y by itself, so we divide everything by 5. So we get y equals negative 3/5 x plus 15 over 5 is 3. So the slope on this one then is negative 3/5. So the question asks us, are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay. Well, if they are parallel, the slopes would need to be the same, which they are not. If perpendicular, they need to be opposite reciprocals. Now, if you notice, there are reciprocals. This one's 5/3. This one's 3/5, but they need to be opposites. So because they have the same sign, they're not opposite reciprocals either. So we would say neither on these. They are neither parallel or perpendicular. The important thing on these problems is to make sure you get it into the appropriate format, y equals mx plus b. So let's look at number 2. Okay, number 2, we need to get it in y equals mx plus b form. On number 2, we have a 3 with the y. So we're going to get rid of that by dividing everything by 3. So we get y equals negative 3 divided by 3 is just negative 1x plus 5 over 3. So our slope then on this problem is negative 1. All right, on the second part, it's y equals 3/5 x minus 2. This is already in slope-intercept form, and we can clearly see the slope is 3/5. So again, this one, they're not the same. They're not opposite reciprocals, so this one is also neither. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our next example. The next one is we need to write equations. All right, write an equation in point-slope form of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the given line. Okay, what you need to do is the point that you're given is going to be called your x1 and your y1. Then you're going to be given an equation. Now, if we want to write the equation of a line parallel to this given line, we want to use the given line's slope. So on the given line, all we need to get from that is the slope. The slope is 3/4, so we write 3/4. Now the equation says to write it in point-slope form. Point-slope form, again, is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And then all we do is fill in our x1, y1, and our m. So we would do y minus y1 is 2 equals m, which is 3/4, parentheses x minus 1. And this right here is our equation of a line parallel to the given line. And then we're done, because it says it requests in point-slope form, and so this is point-slope form, so we are now done. All right, let's do another one just like it. Number 4, we're given the point 0, negative 4, and we want to write the equation of a line parallel to this given line. So what we need to do is we need to find out what the slope is on this line. So we need to solve for y. So we're going to subtract 9x from both sides, and you're going to get 3y equals negative 9x plus 18. And then the last step, we're going to divide everything by 3. So we get y equals negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So we get negative 3x plus 18 divided by 3 is 6. And honestly, we don't even care about this number right here. We could care less what that number is. What we are really concerned about is what is this slope. Our slope is negative 3. That's what we're going to use in the writing of our equation. Our point is our x1 and our y1. We want to write it in point slope form. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug in what we know. We have y minus y1. y1 is negative 4. Y minus a negative 4 equals m is negative 3, parentheses, x minus 0. Now, we can go ahead and make that double negative a positive. So let's just go ahead and call it y plus 4 equals negative 3, parentheses, x minus 0. And this is our equation in point slope form. And that is how you write equations of lines that are parallel. All right, let's go and move on to perpendicular. Write an equation in point slope form for a line that passes through the given point and is perpendicular to the given line. This is almost identical to the problems number 3 and 4, except for this time the key word is perpendicular. So we have to do something different with the slope. Now on this one we know the slope for the given line. We know the slope is negative 3. But here's the extra step we have to take that we didn't have to take in problems 3 and 4. We don't want to use the same slope. We want to use opposite reciprocal. Well, if this is negative 3 over 1, a slope that is perpendicular, flip it, you get 1/3, and then make a positive. So our slope that we're going to use is 1/3. The point they give us is our x1 and our y1. So we put it into the formula, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. All right, so we get y minus negative 2 equals m is 1/3, parentheses x minus 6. Almost done. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my double negative. So you get y plus 2 equals 1/3, parentheses x minus 6. And that is your equation in point slope form. All right, let's do another one just like that one. The next one, however, we have to manipulate the given line to be able to figure out what the slope is supposed to be. So on our given line, we need to find out what our slope is going to be. So we need to solve for y here. So we need to subtract 7x from both sides. And we get negative 2y equals negative 7x plus 14. Then we're going to divide everything by negative 2. And we get y equals 7 over 2x plus, actually minus, 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. But really what we're interested in is this right here. We don't really care about the rest of the equation. We just want to know what this is right here. So we need to flip and change the sign on the 7 over 2 to get the slope of our new line. Our new line slope, we're going to flip it so we get 2 over 7. It's positive here, so we actually want a negative. So now we do it again, plug it into the formula. All right, we get y minus y1 is negative 4. I'm going to go ahead and change that to a plus 4, skip a step there. M is 7 over 2. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the slope of the given line. We want the new slope, which is negative 2/7, parentheses x minus 2. And that is our equation in point slope form. On a side note, you also need to remember how to get it into slope-intercept if needed. So if we had needed to get this into slope-intercept, we would have had to do the distributive property and that kind of thing. So just be sure you go back and review how to do that as well. All right, let's go ahead and look at 7 and 8. Graph each absolute value function by translating the graph of y equals absolute value of x. All right, on number 7, if you notice that negative 7 is on the outside of that absolute value bar. So what that means is that's an up or down shift. Since it's negative 7, we're going to shift down to 7, and that's where we start our v. And then remember what I told you, the right side of the v has a slope of 1. So we go up 1, right 1, and put a point. Up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Okay? The left side has a slope of negative 1, so we go up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, and so on. All right, so then that's our graph of absolute value of x minus 7. Now, number 8 is a little different because the 4 is inside the absolute value bar. And if you remember correctly, you have to go opposite the sign on the left or right shifts. This one says -4, which means you go right 4. So we're going to shift this graph to the right 4. From there, the right-hand side of the V has a slope of 1. And the left-hand slope has a slope of -1. The important thing on these is to be sure you remember which one has a left shift, which one has a right shift, and then which one goes up and which one goes down. All right, let's look at the next ones. Here we have a couple of shifts going on. We have x plus 4 minus 5. So this means we do two things. The first thing tells us we go left 4. The second thing tells us we go down 5. So we're going to go left 4, down 5, and start our V. From there, we have a slope of 1 on the right, slope of -1 on the left. So here you have to take care of two shifts at one time. Same thing on number 10. Number 10, it tells us to go left 2 and down 4. So we're going to go left 2, down 4, start our V. And we have our graph. So some of these you may have to shift a couple of ways. Just the important thing on these guys is for sure to remember that if the number is inside the absolute value, go left or right. If it's on the outside, go up or down. All right, now we're going to write some equations. Write an equation for the following translation of y equals absolute value of x. All right, if we're going to left shift, that means it's going to go on the inside of your absolute value. You're going to have x and then plus or minus something. Since it's left 7, we want to, the left and right, we have to change the sign. So it's actually plus 7. So that's the equation for number 11. On number 12, we have two things going on. We have up and down and right or left. The up and down goes on the outside of the absolute value. The left and right goes on the inside. So we're going to have y equals the absolute value of x. Since it's right, we want a minus sign, 2. The up and down, we go with the sign. It's up, so it's plus. And that is our equation for number 12. So that's how you write the equations. All right, the scatter plot, we're going to put that in a separate video. So go ahead and watch the second part of Chapter 6 review.